So in this video, we are going to discuss further Google AI services. Along with generative AI services like Gemini 2.5 Pro, Google provides other AI services as well. For example, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, document intelligence, and things like that. That's what we are going to cover in this particular lesson. Most of these services augment or help or complement the generative AI services when it comes to real-world applications. Now, let's get into the topic. So these are some of the AI offerings from Google, not necessarily generative AI. These are traditional AI services. Speech to text, text to speech, document intelligence, understanding a document, computer vision or cloud vision, all these are traditional AI services. Let's see one by one. So first is speech to text API. So we have seen in YouTube, when you have a video running, you can enable the closed caption or transcript. This is all about converting a speech. Let it be any language. It'll convert that into text. So that is all about speech to text. And it is obtained as REST APIs normally, which can be used in your custom application. API that converts speech to text. It transcribes audio and video content. So it extracts audio from the video content and converts, just like in the case of YouTube. From my experience with this API so far, this API is by far way superior to what YouTube is offering. For some reason, Google itself is not using these APIs for YouTube, or a cut down version of these APIs are used for YouTube, because YouTube is very high in volume. Probably it may not be financially viable. But these APIs are very strong APIs. Even the Microsoft ones are pretty good, which is there in my other training. But the options here in the cloud speech text API in the Google Cloud, these options are slightly higher in number compared to other cloud platforms. So this is the Google Cloud, where we have the speech to text API. This is where the pricing comes into the picture. Different offerings are there based on the requirements. I'm not going into the details of it because it's outside the context of the certification, but these are all REST APIs. Some are on device. The cost is pretty high for on device, which means that you're running it not on the cloud. You're downloading something and running it on device, on the edge. This is for privacy reasons or systems which are not connected to the internet, for security reasons or some other reasons. So the cost is pretty high for such kind of services. As you can see, it is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Anything with on device, as you can see, the cost is pretty high and it is per month. And these are on the cloud, speech to text. Now, text to speech is the opposite of it. You have a text and you need to talk. These days, almost all the models have a voice mode. Gemini Live has a voice mode. Pretty much similar traditional way of text to speech. It is getting natural sounding or more natural sounding every single day. It is keep improving. There's a high amount of competition between model providers. Also, there are different tricks and techniques. For example, it can talk in my voice. 10 or 15 minutes, if it gets trained in my voice, it starts speaking like me. Very scary business at the end of the day. Any movie actress or actors can be imitated using this technology at the moment. Almost all the cloud providers provide it. It can act, it can put emotions. It's highly advanced. There are third-party cloud providers, 11 Labs. They are specializing in text-to-speech, voice actors, technically speaking. Let's see this in the Google Cloud. So this is the speech-to-text. And I have searched text-to-speech and I'm going to the API. So this is text-to-speech. And again, these are the different offerings and prices for the API based on the usage, based on where you're running, all kind of different permutations and combinations. If you click on this question mark, you will get more information about the pricing. There's documentation. So the API documentation is available. You can read about it. Almost all the programming language you can use to call these APIs. And you can test these APIs before you purchase. You can give some text right here. This is one exercise if you want you can do, and you can just play it to see how it speaks. I have tested it, multiple of them. It's very, very natural. And you can select different options here to see how it behaves, different voices, tones, everything. You can adjust here a couple of these things. And these APIs takes a special format to put emotions into it. Not getting into the details of it, but you can give certain emotions to these APIs in certain format. For example, if you want to speak it with an anger voice or a whisper voice or some other kind of acting you want to perform, you can do that with this particular text. Very versatile range of AI services almost all the cloud providers give these days. So it converts text to natural sounding speech. That's what it is all about, text to speech. The API also creates voice user interfaces, which means that you can talk to it and get things done, and personalized communication. I remember the days when I was using Sam, which was coming in Windows XP. It was very sounding like a robot. You know that it is sounding like a robot. You know that it's not a human being. But the latest speech to text and text to speech behavior is exactly like human. No difference at all. Next is translation API. The interesting fact about this translation business Google has been doing since ages is that this is where everything started. The transformer architecture came from this translation. So the underlying technology behind all the artificial intelligence, generative AI boom right now we see in the market is due to this technology right here. The paper attention is all you need came from the attempt to improve the translation from one language to another. But right now, this is all about just translating. Translate text, document, website, audio, and video files. A lot of them uses a combination of these models internally to translate. And I was talking about text translation specifically. The transformer architecture, which is behind all this ChatGPT, Gemini, everything we know today, was created to translate text from one language to another. Not a very important point from the certification perspective, but just putting it out there because it is an important set of APIs or topics from the perspective of the history of AI. So I'm back to Google Cloud and searching for translation, and these are the translation API, and again similar interface. You can see different translation options out here. These are technically not large language model like the ChatGPT, but they are small model which is specialized on translating one language to another. It can detect languages, accordingly it can translate to different languages as well. Definitely, as you know, Google is the pioneer in these areas. So these model I'm expecting to be versatile. I have used the end user versions of these models, but not the APIs itself, but I'm expecting them to be the best in the market. These APIs covers a range of languages, pretty much everything I know in the whole world. They keep improving in terms of languages, and they are on a higher level than the ones you get for free in the Google page. These APIs are paid and they provide more value, generally speaking. So these are a document translation API. So it reads certain documents. It does OCR on documents. If you give the image of a document, it translates to a different language. For example, a Chinese license plate or a Chinese passport or an application form which is written using pen and paper. So these APIs take such documents and translate to a different language like English, French, or whatever you want. So this is the document AI API. And as you can see, it takes almost any kind of document, structured, unstructured, semi-structured documents using state-of-the-art Google AI, such as natural language processing, computer vision. For example, if the document is just an image, it uses computer vision and translation. In fact, this is done by Gemini these days. You can simply upload a picture to Gemini and you can do whatever you want it to understand everything, including the image. So the multimodal large language model is definitely doing everything which is there. But if you're just going for documents, this could be more cost effective and faster option than the large language model like Gemini. So that is one thing I would like to mention here, is the fact that most of these things an API like Gemini will do, Gemini 2.5 Pro. But why do we need to use these APIs, this specialized APIs? Because they are fast, they must be cost effective, and they are specially trained to do that particular piece of work. So they may be better at what they are supposed to do. That's where these APIs come into the picture. And they don't use large language model, in most cases at least, behind the scenes. They're specialized model specifically built for this purpose. So this was the document API we have seen. It provides additional capabilities, extract data from variety of documents and formats. So any kind of document processing and data extraction can be done using these APIs from these documents. Most of these APIs can be custom trained. For example, you have a custom document which this API doesn't understand. Most of them can be custom trained. You can tell the API this particular document has X amount of things in these particular location, and it is intelligent enough to find that out. Sometimes it is also called document intelligence. Very useful thing when you process some kind of manually entered, human entered application forms and things like that. The API can also summarize documents. These days, a well-written application, AI application, can do pretty much anything a human can do with a document. Analyzing the document, analyzing the credit risk from multiple documents, analyze a case history like a lawyer. All those kind of things can be done using APIs like this. So computer vision, we have seen it before in multiple places. At the end of the day, it is all about understanding an image or a group of image. So it analyzes image, find out objects inside the image and tag. It can do OCR or find out text, character recognition. OCR is all about understanding human readable text. It can identify faces, landmarks, all kind of things. Anything and everything a human can do from an image, these APIs can do. Potentially on thousands of images with millisecond latency and very high accuracy. And content moderation, that is another important thing these things does these days, finding out sexually explicit content, violence, drug use, all kind of different things it can find out from the image, just like a human does for law enforcement activities and things like that. So this is the Cloud Vision API inside Google Cloud. I have not enabled it, but these are the costs associated with it and corresponding documentation in case if you want to use. So visual search, that is nothing but you're giving a list of images and you're searching for a particular thing within the image, which you can do with these APIs. So that is the concept of visual search, just like we humans does. Video intelligence API, similar thing for video. Video is nothing but a group of images at the end of the day. So if you can analyze images, you can analyze video. So videos are more compute intensive in terms of analysis. Again, you can do content moderation, content analysis of the video to extract meaningful information. Indexing of the video, finding out how many people are there, what are the timelines within the video. So you might have seen in YouTube, automatically finds out each part of the video, what is being discussed in each part of a training video within YouTube. It is not done by the content providers. It is automatically done by the video intelligence by Google. So that is what this is all about. Content recommendation, video search and media analysis, and indexing like we see in the case of YouTube. You can search within the video for a particular piece of content. It'll give you the time and frame where it is appearing, all that kind of intelligence. Natural language API, very similar to generative AI, but again purpose built for content moderation, sentiment analysis. For example, if you have a review inside a hotel management or hotel booking site, or a product review, you can do this kind of APIs, or you can call this kind of APIs to understand what that review is all about. Is it good, bad? You can create analytics and a lot of other usages with these natural language APIs. But most of them are subset of generative AI, but they are different models behind the scenes. So you can think of like a subset, but more purpose built. And there is a high chance that the performance is also high because these models are smaller models. They are not large models. At least at this point in time, large language models are, just like the name says, they are large. Because of that, they are considerably slower than these models, supposed to be at least. But they are getting better and better hardware and better speed and token count every single day. But otherwise, this natural language API definitely is a subset of what something like Gemini 2.5 Pro can offer. So it helps derive insights from unstructured text, any kind of linguistic analysis. Like I said, sentiment, classification, important entities within the text. The review example I gave is a good use case for this kind of APIs. So we have seen so many different Google AI services, speech to text, text to speech, and so on. Like I mentioned before, this augments and helps generative AI application or any application which needs this kind of services. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next.